Welcome back to a new season of Mic Check. This is our first video of 2018 that includes a 2018 movie. A movie that was released in 2018, probably, as you can tell from the background, what everyone anticipated being the first good movie of 2018. However, we both have some very interesting opinions about it. Namely, does it live up to the hype?
Yes!
Nah.
The revolution will be live.
Let's discuss that. One thing I want to say right off the bat is that I really like this movie. It is so overhyped. It is something like Frozen, something like La La Land, something that there's so many elements, there's so many people and so many critics are telling you that this is going to be a great movie, one of the best, and there are so many elements of this film that need to be the best, and then sort of when they don't live up to that, it's kind of a factor. However, I do sort of want to explain what I mean by that, because it's not just that made me think the movie was good, but not great. The first thing I want to say is that the characters are really strong. It's one of the strongest character-driven pieces that we've had, and I really like talking about it because talking about it makes me like it more than sometimes experiencing the actual film, which is not usually a good thing, but all the characters they all have a very specific mindset and motivation about what's going on in the world. And the world, in the politics, in the logic, and in the literal world itself of Wakanda and of South Korea, really, that's really the only two locations they have. It's all built up very well, and it's a very unique world to a very unique, very diverse cast. The villain is very good as well. T'Challa is great, but the villain and his motivation and his perspective on what happens when a very well-off nation doesn't help other people for the sake of protecting their own. And it's a very topical issue and a thing that I feel like everybody can kind of relate to. However, my biggest con with this, and it's not even like any real element of the film, is that it didn't make me feel as much emotion as I knew it was trying to make me feel. And it made me frustrated because I knew that other people were going to turn to me and kind of wonder why. And I kind of don't even know why in certain elements, because the more I talk about it, the more I like it. But that's kind of my biggest thing, is that it just doesn't give me the same emotion as something like Logan or Wonder Woman. Not that it has to, but I feel like that is an element of the film that I necessarily don't like. But I will say it's a very compact story, and everything about it, all the Marvel isms, some of the humor, some of the, it's a superhero film, that's kind of as if it's a little weaker, but it's so throwaway because it's such a film on its own. You don't even think of that. The symbolism, the essence of it is there. It's definitely there, and it's certainly better than a lot of the stuff that we saw, actually really everything we saw last year. But I'm going to turn it over to you because I want you guys to sort of know specifics of what I'm talking about by you talking about what you loved about the film.
So, I thought this was an amazing movie. By carrying what Ryan Coogler did with Fruitvale Station and Creed, you could say this is his worst film because he had to add it to the MCU. With that, he has to put effects, and you have to put it in. It's kind of like a setup for Infinity War, even though it kind of doesn't. We'll get to that. But what he completely did right was make this a James Bond spin-off film, which I thought was great. Especially, you could take a clip from like Skyfall, and even like the theme song, it comes right from the end credits. I thought it was amazing. The best scenes I thought had to deal with Killmonger and the King, and basically the past and present relating to race, relating to everything that, what is the difference between a good man and a good king versus a bad man, and even though he does wrong things, you can still side with him. As an MCU movie, this is the best drama of anyone's I've seen, including Winter Soldier and Civil War. This has the most realistic and most grounded depiction of life with Wakanda. I thought everything about it, with the African nations, with the tribes, including the different costumes, the color coding with the characters. I feel like the women, the king, and the villain are the highlights. But what really stood out to me was Shiru and M'Baku. Those were the characters that I thought I had the most charisma and the most fun with. As for negatives, I feel like because of the action, I don't really have strong emotions coming out of remembering what a specific set piece was. That has to do with Andy Serkis. I didn't like him in Age of Ultron. I didn't like him here. I thought it was a bit too silly, a bit too goofy for this realistic take of what these characters are going through, and then he was like, I'm crazy, I didn't really care for that. As it's being a part of the MCU, I feel like because it has to set up everything, it doesn't do anything like that, and it becomes a great movie. But because it's so close to Infinity War, and we didn't get anything from last year, I kind of feel like it needed to have the Soul Stone, but then again, I couldn't really see anything that could be taken away from it. But because of that effect, I thought the effects were a bit weak. Like Wonder Woman, I even thought this was a better movie than Wonder Woman. There had weak backdrops, like Civil War in the airport battle. You could say that it has great effects, but I think that it has a few weak points of having the costumes of like the Black Panthers mixed with the action. I felt was a bit off. But overall, I thought the movie was fantastic, especially with Killmonger. I thought that was excellent, and I teared it up. I teared up at the end with his whole speech about what is the past and the present. Can we go into spoilers? Is this okay? Or
I think at this point, spoiler alert, because we've actually been pretty good at not really.
Because I kind of need to say this.
From this point on, we're gonna be really out there with the spoilers.
Go ahead, yeah. The whole point of Killmonger is like, why is he the way he is? Because of T'Challa. But because of not T'Challa, because of T'Chaka, and with the way he treated people, he was a good king, but he stood for Wakanda. The whole point of the movie is, can we let Wakanda be sharing with everything else? T'Challa has to deal with that, and it's like, no, we have to keep it to ourselves. If we're not doing this, then who are we? And what makes us special? And what I also like, a fun fact, they keep in vibranium. Vibranium also stores in sound energy, kinetic energy. Like with the trains at the end, with the final battle, you saw the solar sounds come together and they were trapped because of the sound. And vibranium's in Wakanda. Wakanda, he doesn't want to share. He doesn't want to reach out. I thought that was a pretty good metaphor as well. But with Killmonger at the end, his speech of saying, I don't want to be in prison. I want to live like death, like my ancestors before me, because they knew not to be imprisoned and jump from ships. I thought that was the best thing they could have done, and that's what's the highlight for me. Everything else is pretty good, mind you, great, but with that message, I thought it was just magnificent.
I mean,
yeah.
I can't argue with that. I agree that when you talk it out in this way, it is a great film, and although I didn't like it as much, I would definitely give it a full price. Especially for any Marvel fan, especially for any fans of Black Panther, and for anyone kind of wanting to see one of the first good movies of this year.
This is an A+ movie and an A- movie body. Because it's so great, I think it's a little too good for its own good. A high full price.
Yeah. So for any MCU fans, you're gonna see it anyway, regardless of our advice. Anybody else considering going to see it, I would go see it, even if you go to an earlier screening, just so you can get a better price on the ticket, but definitely go see it. And as usual, before you go see a movie, check in with us first. Thanks for watching.
There's two post-credit scenes as always. The first one is excellent, with him giving a realistic statement about, we should build bridges, not walls. We should reach out and share Wakanda and, treat each other as if we were one tribe. Wow. But then the second one is kind of what you expect. Whatever. It's still fine.